In our politics lead, Americans are growing more pessimistic when it comes to coronavirus and when it comes to the economy. A new CNN poll finds that 69% of Americans say things in the country today are going badly. That's well above the 60% who felt that way in March. Let's discuss with our panel. Bill Kristol, let me start with you. When you dig into the numbers, especially when it comes to the economy, Americans say things are getting worse. And it's not just Republicans, it's across party lines. 43% of Democrats think the economic conditions are poor, up from 28%. Independents grew to 65 from 50. Republicans, 81 from 58. Obviously, I think a lot of what Biden is trying to do with these vaccine requirements is actually focused on the economy just as much as it is saving lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if these requirements work, and I think they will to some degree, and we will come out of it anyway because of natural forces, so to speak, to some degree, and the economy is pretty good a year from now. We don't have runaway inflation. The federal elections aren't for over a year. So this is a good time to have people become more worried if you are confident that things will be better 6 or 9 months from now.
Yeah, and Laura, Biden's overall approval rating stands at 52%, which is at least above water for him, but some troubling numbers for him. There's been a rise in his disapproval rating among independents. In April, 43% of independents disapproved of the way he was handling his job. Today, that number is 54%. If you were at the White House right now, what would you take away from this?
Well, those independents are going to be key, right, for Democrats in 2022, in 2024. And so some of the Democrats that I've spoken to in Congress have said that those are troubling numbers that they're worried about, that they want Biden to work on. These new steps, you know, the mandates are popular in a lot of states like Georgia, Arizona. When it's been polled, do you support corporations mandating vaccines or mandating masks? A lot of voters, a majority of voters in those swing states say that they support it. Now, this is the federal government mandating that those corporations do that, but that's why the White House is taking this step at this time, because yes, his approval ratings are down, his disapproval rating is up, and they know that these mandates are popular, so they decided that this is the moment to take it as well for the economy, like you said.
So how are what's the view of these mandates, do you think, among independents, who can be a fickle bunch?
They can. I think it depends on if they're vaccinated or not. I think one of the biggest risks with this mandate is that it really enlivens the Republican base and really the loudest among them. And
people
really
who will turn out in 2022.
The people who will turn out in 2022.
They're very enlivened.
They are?
Trust me. I know some of them. I don't know if they could be more enlivened, the anti-vax fanatics.
But this keeps fueling the fire. Not just the anti-vax fanatics, but you know, those people that maybe voted for Biden this last election and might be inclined to vote for a Republican in the swing districts. I think watching how polling for Biden is in these swing districts, in these majority-making House members and Senate members. That's something that I know I'm going to be watching to see, you know, how he's faring there.
And let me ask you: do you think there is any part of this, of these mandates, because Biden could have done something that is? You heard Ilya Shapiro in the previous segment saying it would have been more constitutionally a layup to require that domestic flights everybody be vaccinated. But he didn't do that. He went right to something that is at least debatable. Do you think he was baiting Republicans to overreact at all, Republican governors because as Laura notes, these mandates are broadly popular, not among the Republican base, but among the American people.
Well, there's a Supreme Court case decades ago that said the president can, federal government can mandate vaccines for all citizens, period. He has that power.
You're talking about that Jacobson versus Massachusetts?
Jacobson, Massachusetts.
1905?
I went to law school.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is going to be a pretty boring.
It hasn't been tested in a while, but he has. Look,
it was a guy who didn't want to get vaccinated for smallpox.
Right.
And the Supreme Court said, I'm sorry, you have to.
Right. By the way, if you're interested, as my conservative friends are, in the intent of the framers, George Washington was the chairman of the Constitutional Convention. Before that, he mandated that every soldier in his army be inoculated.
But he was a general, not a president at the
time.
Right.
We didn't have
generals, but soldiers don't have any rights. That's not debatable.
Well, federal employees are more like a soldier than a private sector employee in that they don't have to work for the federal government. I don't have a right to a job at CNN, but if I don't abide by its health policies at work, I can get fired. And that's well within the power of this company, as well within the power of the president as an employer. I think, but get back to, I think it's going to be popular with voters. I think the fact that Republican governors and the RNC are taking the point against this is just political morons, because With the Affordable Care Act, the contraception case, who sued? The Little Sisters of the Poor. Oh my God! As a Catholic, that breaks my heart, right? I love the Little Sisters of the Poor. Nobody loves Ron DeSantis or Greg Abbott. I mean, no normal. They're hard partisans. No
Mrs.
normal,
DeSantis.
yes, they're lovely people, but the independents are not as moved by them as plaintiffs.
What's more going
than
to
the Little Sisters of the Poor?
I think what independents are more like looking at is how COVID and the economy are linked, and the competence.
The competence argument.
The competence argument with Biden. If he's competent to wrap up some of these crises, get the economy back where it should be, then maybe the Democrats will be in good shape. If he's not seen as competent, well, that's going to be problematic.
So I just want I need to jump in because I want to introduce something else that I know you all want to talk about. And somebody else making the competence argument is Governor Christie, former New Jersey governor, Republican, who is thinking of possibly running for president in 2024. He is now trying to create some real distance between him and the man he endorsed for president in 2016 and 2020, Donald Trump. Take a listen.
No man, no woman, no matter what office they've held or wealth they've acquired, are worthy of blind faith or obedience. That's not who I am, and that's not who we are as Republicans, no matter who is demanding that we tie our future to a pile of lies. See, we deserve much better than to be misled by those trying to acquire or hold on to power.
Now, for the record, he didn't mention Donald
Who's
Trump's
he
name.
talking about?
But he's obviously talking about Donald Trump. But let me just ask you, okay? Christie says, no man, no woman, no matter what office they've held, are worthy of blind faith or obedience. That's not who we are as Republicans. Is that not who you are as Republicans? Not you necessarily, but is that not who the Republican Party is? The Republican Party, to me, according to polls and according to the majority of House Republicans, they are tying their future to a pile of lies.
They are. Now, look, if Christie wants to genuinely depart from the party that is tied to Trump and to Trumpism, he needs to say a bunch of things. He needs to say that he wouldn't support Trump in 2024, as Liz Cheney has said. He needs to support the January 6th Commission. He needs to say, I wouldn't support someone like Josh Mandel or J.D. Vance, given the kinds of campaigns they're running, if one of them becomes the Republican nominee in Ohio.
One of them will.
And one of them probably will. Yeah. Will he support the Democrat? For me, that's the test. Otherwise, it's all just cheap talk. He's trying to get into a lane that's not quite where Liz Cheney is, but a little bit more respectable than DeSantis or than, other possible successors of Trump. There will be support, but on the other hand, having said that, so I'm unimpressed. Having said that, I've gotten 10 emails and texts this morning from sort of friends and sort of never Trump world saying, isn't Christie great? Boy, Christie's stepping up. So there is a real desire among, more than I would like there to be, honestly, among a lot of people who left Trump in 2020 for Biden. They want to come back to the party. They want to believe. They still want to believe in a Republican Party they can support. And Christie may tap into that, and there may be a little more support for that than I think he deserves.
What do you think, Paul?
Courage is contagious. Liz Cheney has been the most courageous. Adam Kinzinger, right with her, the congressman from Illinois. But you are seeing more and more. It's just one special election, but in the 6th District of Texas, the incumbent congressman passed away. Former President Trump endorsed his widow. She lost to a Republican who ran as a more traditional Reagan-Bush Republican. It's just one election, one place. But the more that people like Christie stand up, the more other people will as well. And I do think you'll see more of this.
All right. Well, thanks one and all for joining. Hope you have a very reflective weekend on this 9/11 weekend.